Hey everybody, welcome to your top producer class. I'm Paul Baxter, implementation coach for the Mortgage Mastermind Group, and I am definitely here to help you grow. Guys, girls, got a great class for you today. We have been focused all week on talking about conversion pages and how to make them actually work. We're not talking about squeeze pages, because squeeze pages is nothing but a form. That's not what we're looking to do. We're looking to convert. We're not talking about opt-in forms or landing pages. Those are simple. It's a term that you can use for these types of things, but I prefer to call them conversion pages because that's really what the intention of these pages are, is to convert a prospect or a target into an actual lead. And we've covered a lot of aspects of it, and we've kind of broken it down into three main parts. And today we're going to talk about increasing your conversions by retargeting your best targets. And it really is like putting an arrow right through and, hitting the bullseye, or splitting an arrow right down the middle, because it really is like targeting on top of targeting. And you guys will understand by the end of today's program. So just to recap what we've talked about over this last week. Wednesday, you learned how to look at conversion pages as a process, as opposed to looking at them as like a quick shot. Instead of thinking that you're going to put this form out there and people are just going to sign up, they're going to click it one time and they're going to love your offer and they're going to sign up. We started talking about conversion pages as a process. Leading people down the path is what we called it. We learned how to create our first impression. That's that specific offer or that specific benefit that makes our target say, wow, I've got to have that. That's what that first impression is. And we talked about how to create that ad on Facebook and make that first impression with a good ad using a boosted post, and then boosting that to a specific demographic that fits the niche of what we're marketing. And then we talked about how having a good initial conversation is going to allow you to show expertise and create trust before you ask them for information, before you ask for anything. And we started talking about that on Wednesday. On Thursday, we learned how to create that actual splash page, which is our initial conversation page, and we did it inside of Weebly.com in order to be able to deliver our cheese. Remember that first impression? We talked about the cheese is the thing that, kind of attracts the mouse to the trap, so to speak. And so we talked about creating that initial conversation page to deliver our cheese with Weebly. We talked about how video is the best way to have that initial conversation. Video gives us the ability to develop trust right away. There's something trustworthy about hearing the message, but seeing that message come directly from your mouth as well. And it just adds to a different level as opposed to somebody having to read through some content. Both can be effective, but again, we talked about how video is by far the best way to have that initial conversation, because then it's more like you having a real conversation with them. And then we created our form page. And again, we used video with our form page to support our form, to reiterate that trust that they have had in us, to reiterate why it is that they feel compelled to fill out our form. They're going to get whatever it is from that. And we did that using Weebly, using the same Weebly site. We created a nice form, short and sweet, just a few questions so it doesn't look daunting, to encourage people to actually sit down and take the time to fill out our form. So that was what we've covered. That's the recap of this week. And those are the components of converting targets into leads. I mean, that's the funnel, so to speak, or the process, as it were, or the path that you're leading them down. But you have to tie those components together. The demographics you set and your first impression ad are what I call likely targets. And those that take your cheese are raising their hands and basically saying, hey, I'm your real target. I'm the real target here. And if you guys could see me, I'm sitting behind my desk on a webinar that you can't see me on, and I actually have my hand raised, because that's really what's happening when they click that first impression, when they see that ad and they're compelled to click it and check out your initial conversation. What they're doing is they're identifying themselves as the person you were looking for in that demographic. It's like a target within a target. It's like splitting an arrow down the middle that's already in the bullseye. It's targeting within targeting. Now we know that 93% of those that raise their hand or those that click our ad that go to our website, we know that they're not going to do anything when they get there. They're going to get their cheese, and that's what they're going to do. That's it. They're not going to do anything else. 93%. We have a more than likely chance that they are not going to take any action steps when they get to our initial conversation. So that leaves the follow-up part of the conversion page. That's what we're going to focus on today, is that follow-up part of the conversion page. But how do you follow up on a click? All you got is a click. How do you follow up on that? What do you do to be able to follow up on a click? And that's where enters Facebook website custom audiences. What Facebook website custom audiences allows us to do is a marketing strategy called retargeting. Facebook website custom audience incorporates the hottest marketing strategy going today. It literally is marketers everywhere. Do a Google search for best marketing strategies, and most of them are going to be talking about retargeting. That is the hottest marketing strategy going in marketing anywhere, whether you're marketing Coca-Cola or you're marketing mortgages. It is people have discovered that with the technology that allows us to do it, conversion rates and click-through rates are going through the roof. So what is retargeting? Retargeting is the act of serving ads to people who have already bought, searched for, or seen your products or ads. That's what retargeting is by definition. Now, retargeting keeps your brand front and center and brings window shoppers back time and time again. That's what retargeting allows you to do. Remember, 93% of people aren't going to do anything the first time they come to your website. And all you have is that click. Retargeting is your way to bring them back, but at the same time, you're keeping your brand front and center constantly. Every time your customer sees your retargeting ads, your brand gains traction and more recognition, and the high click-through rates and increased conversions that are typical of retargeting campaigns, that just underscores the value of what this does for your branding and that repeated exposure that you're getting. As our good friend Alan Gross likes to say, buying brain cells. Buying brain cells. And that's what it's all about, and that's what retargeting allows you to do. So we're gonna learn how to do that today. You have everything that you need. You don't need to go out and buy new softwares. You don't need to go out and get some new programs. I'm telling you right here and now, you've got everything that you need to implement retargeting for your conversion pages already. If you followed us on step one, if you implemented what we did on Wednesday and you created that first good impression ad targeting the audience that you really want to target that makes sense for your niche, that's in place. It's ready to go. If you followed or implemented what we talked about yesterday and created that good initial conversation page inside of Weebly with a cool little video just answering the top 10 questions that VA people are going to have, or reverse mortgage people are going to have, or first-time home buyers are going to have. You can answer 10 questions about every product that you offer in the mortgage business, can you not? I am willing to bet that every single person on this call with me today can answer 10 questions about every single mortgage product that you have available in your arsenal of products and programs. You can answer 10 questions. Just do it in front of a camera real quick. Have that set up. You've got that ability to do so if you haven't implemented already. We walked through setting up a form already to be able to capture the information. So you've got all the pieces to the puzzle. So let's set up the last steps. That's all there is to it, is setting up the last steps. So create a Facebook website custom audience for your new initial conversation page. Where you're going to start, step one, go to Ads Manager, Facebook Ads Manager. If you don't remember how to get into there, we've done countless webinars on Facebook. We talk about how to get into Facebook Ads Manager. The easy way is just facebook.com/ads/manage. That'll take you right to it, and you're going to select the option that says Audiences. When you click on Audiences, I clicked on Audiences. On the whatever you see on the page, you're looking towards the top right, and on the top right, you're going to click the drop-down menu that says Create Custom Audience, and from that list that drops down, you're going to select Custom Audience. Now, we will be, just for an aside here, we will be doing some future webinars on lookalike audiences and saved target groups. That's going to help you with your first impression stuff. So we will talk about that in the future. I want you to get these 3 steps, first impression, initial conversation, and follow-up down pat first. And then we'll talk about how to increase what you're doing with your first impression with lookalike audiences and saved target groups. But right now what we're focused on, again, facebook.com/ads/manage. Click the Audiences button. On the top right, drop down Create Audience and select Custom Audience. Once you select Custom Audience, this box will pop up and you've got 3 options. You've got Customer List, Website Traffic, and App Activity. What we're going to select is Website Traffic. And it says right underneath it what it's for. It's to create a list of people who visit your website or view specific web pages. It's either or. So you're going to select excuse me, Website Traffic. That converts the box that's in the center of your screen to this box. And the first option that you're going to do is choose the type of website traffic you're creating the audience for. Now, 99.9% of the time, you're going to choose anyone who visits your website. And for the beginning portion, to start off with, I am recommending to you that this be the option that you choose. Don't do the specific web page for now. For now, you need to choose anyone who visits your website. There are specific numbers that have to be met to be able to implement this strategy. We'll talk about that in depth in just a little bit. But in order to get there, what I'm going to recommend to you that when you first do this, your first audience, anyone who visits your website. Once you select that, the next step down. Now, if you do choose to, I meant to add this, if you do choose people who visit specific web pages, when you click that option, it's going to pop open a new box that's asking you to put in the URL address contains or equals. So if it needs to be a specific URL address, put that in there. If it needs to equal, if it contains the same things, if there's no dash or whatever, just copy and paste the URL address of the specific page that you want to do if that's the way you're going to do it. But again, I'm going to recommend to start with, do anyone who visits your website. The next section is to change the section that says in the last 30 days is by default what it starts with. And what that means, and I don't want to get too technical, we're going to talk about this also in a few minutes, but the way that this works is there's a cookie that's installed on somebody's browser when they visit your website, and this is dictating how many days that cookie lasts inside their browser. The maximum number of days that you can put it to is 180 days. So the recommendation here in this section is just automatically change that 30 to 180 right off the bat. You want that cookie to last as long as possible. You never know when somebody is just in the beginning stages of tire kicking to when they hit that, what Google likes to call that 0 moment of truth, that ZMOT. So change that up to 180 days. Next, you're going to name your audience, and you want to know what this audience is related to. So name it so that you can associate it with the ad campaign. So if this audience is the audience that I'm using for my reverse mortgage campaign, I'm going to name it something that makes me remember that. If it's for my VA loan targets, or if it's for my first-time home buyer targets, or if it's for my realtors that I'm trying to brand myself to, whatever it is, I want to name that audience something that's going to make me know that that's what that's part of. You can also add a short description if you want. Once you've finished naming and giving a description to your audience, reverse mortgage prospects, retarget list for reverse mortgage prospects, right? You simply click Create Audience. When you do that, you're going to get this box. Thank you for creating a custom audience. Click OK. Now that's going to take you back to the main audience board, and you're going to see your new audiences there. You're going to see the name of it and the short description. You're going to see what type of audience what it is. It's a custom audience, and that it's a website audience. It's going to show you the size. Notice that it's got a dash here. And then under availability, notice it says not ready. That's because my audience is too small. We're going to cover that in depth in a few minutes. Keep that in the back of your mind, but we are going to cover that in depth in a few minutes. And then it shows you the date that it was created. Okay? So you need to tie your new website to your Facebook website custom audience. Remember our initial conversation page? That's a website we built in Weebly. We need to tie that to our Facebook website custom audience. So the way that you do that is just beside your audience name. You can see it here. You've got the little checkbox. You click the checkbox. Notice that the options create ad and actions are not available to me until I click the checkbox. Once I click the checkbox, those items are available. Now, create ad is not available because I don't have my audience isn't big enough yet. So it's not ready. Once it becomes ready, that option would be available to me too. You're going to click that checkbox, and then you're going to drop down the little actions button. When you drop down the actions button, you've got these options. The option you're going to click is View Pixel. You don't need to know the technical term and all the mumbo jumbo about what this means. You just need to know how to get into it. So again, once you've created your custom audience, you've viewed it here, you click the checkbox there. When you click the checkbox, that makes the options available. You drop down Actions, and from Actions drop-down menu, you select View Pixel. Okay? When you click on View Pixel, it's going to pop open a little box. Now, I don't have it showing in the picture, but at the top of the box, once you have it installed on a website, you'll start to, it's going to be able to show you demographics as to how many clicks you're getting and what days they're clicking on. It shows you a little graph of what your clicks are doing on your websites and where it's capturing information. Yours will likely be empty the first time you do it. Either case, all you need to do is scroll down towards the bottom of this screen, and you're going to see a section inside of a box all by itself that says Pixel Code. You need to copy all of the pixel code. The cool thing about what Facebook does here, if you're using Chrome, if you simply click inside this box, it automatically highlights all of the content of the box for you. So all you have to do at that point is right-click and copy. Once you're done copying the code, you can close the box. You're done there. Now this code is what allows your site and Facebook to communicate with one another. This code is what puts that cookie that I mentioned earlier on the browser of people who visit your website. That's that cookie that's going to last 180 days. That cookie is what creates a list in your website custom audience. That's how you follow up with a click. It doesn't have a name. It doesn't have anything other than that person clicked, and it's carrying this cookie, and it knows it. You can then serve ads to just the people that are part of that website custom audience. Those are the people that raised their hand and said, hey, I'm your true target. Okay? So on your new website, you're going to put that code in the section in your website where it's not visible. You don't have to worry about people seeing that. It's just a section of code that you're going to paste to be able to make your website speak directly to Facebook. So when you go to Weebly.com, you're going to select the Edit option. When you get to the Edit option, you're going to select Go to Pages. When you get to your pages, you're going to select Advanced Options. Now you may have to scroll down a little bit when you get there and just be on the home page. It doesn't matter what page you're on. Just be on the home page. And you're just going to scroll down a little bit until you see Advanced Settings. Just click the little plus symbol, and that's going to pop open the Advanced Settings, but it doesn't expose it. You're, again, going to have to scroll down a little bit, and what you're looking for is the section that says Header Code. In the section that says Header Code, all you have to do, bear with me one second. all you've got to do is paste, right-click, paste that pixel code from your Facebook custom website audience. That's all you got to do. Once you've pasted that in there, you're going to click Save and Edit. Now what that does is that actually puts it on the site, but remember with Weebly, it is imperative that you publish. No changes take place, whether you can see them. Here's something that's just it's a code that sits in the background of the header code section that it's not visible on your site. So I don't want you to forget to do this step, because just putting it on there in the pages and saving and editing, it's not published. You must, any changes you make to your Weebly website, you absolutely have to click the publish button for those changes to take place. You have to click the publish button or the changes won't take place. Now if you go through all the trouble of copying this code, creating a custom audience, and you've gone through, you copy the code, and you come back in and you edit your page and paste it all in there, and you go through all that trouble, but nothing's happening, it's because you forgot to publish your page. Don't do that to yourself. And I bring it up like this because I've seen it happen to some others, and I don't want that to happen to you. Make sure you click that publish button. Now, here's the caveat to all this, and this is why the first thing you have to do is get that pixel on your website right away so that the people that are clicking on your first impression, you're building that custom audience. Here's the caveat. Remember a little bit ago I showed you, let me show it again. I showed you that it's not my availability is not ready because my audience is too small. That's because Facebook has rules as it relates. It's not necessarily as it relates to the custom audience. It has rules as it relates to ads in general. Facebook will not serve ads with an audience less than 25 people. They just won't serve the ad. So the minimum number of website visitors we have to have is 25. We cannot run our retargeted ads. You can't implement this strategy until you get 25 website visitors. Now, there are outside services like AdRolls. I've heard there are several outside services that do something called Facebook Exchange and offer ad retargeting. You can pay them, but they are going to tell you right off the bat that they won't even begin to serve your ad until you have a minimum of 1,000 visitors. Is that why I have friends asking me to like their ads? That is more than likely the case, yes. And I do not recommend, guys, girls, I'm glad you brought that up, James. Listen, guys, if you do an ad and you're trying to get to your 25-page visitors, do not buy page visitors. Do not ask your friends and your colleagues, well, maybe your colleagues, but do not ask your friends to like your ad. That defeats the purpose. You need to get those 25 Facebook visitors or website, excuse me, you need to get those 25 website visitors from your first impression, because the purpose of this is you're not trying to convert the insurance agent that works in the 2 doors down from you in the office. Don't reserve ads. You're going to pay money to reserve ads to somebody that's never going to convert because they're not, all they did was give you a website like. That defeats the purpose. We're not doing an ad just for impressions. We're not doing an ad just to have a billboard running all the time. We're doing a very purposeful, planned conversion page that is designed to get people to move down a path that takes them from first impression, wanting what we have, to actually turning into an actual lead that you can follow up with and turn into a closed loan. Do not buy your 25 website visitors. Don't do it. So how do you get those 25 website visitors? Well, it starts with that first impression ad. Have a good benefit and put that in front of the right target audience through demographics. It does not take much time to get 25 website visitors. I can tell you this from experience. If you put the right first impression in front of the right audience, your 25 website visitors will go very, very quickly. James, if you don't get 25 in a month or two, that means that your first impression is bad, and we need to look. If you don't get 25 in the first week of running your ad, depending on your number, if you're targeting 1,000 people, yeah, give it 30 days. If you're targeting, like you saw in my example the other day, 78,000 baby boomers in my market area, if I'm targeting 70,000 people, 78,000 people, and my first impression, my ad is a good ad with a good benefit, I will have 25 website visitors within the first week. Does that make sense? So if you go 30 days and you don't have 25 visitors, stop the ad. Let's rethink our first impression, because it's the first impression that is getting people to click. When they click, that's all we need is them to go to the ad. We don't need them to watch the video. We don't need them to like the video. We don't need them to stay on the site for 30 seconds. We don't need anything other than them to click on our first impression ad and go to our website. So realistically, you're not going to, so we should expand my audience up to 10 to 20,000. No, don't expand your, if it's a targeted audience, the key is targeting. If it's a targeted audience, you're getting in front of the right people. Like I said, if it's 1,000 people, give it 30 days. But it's very unlikely through the demographics that you're whittled down to about 1,000 people. It's more likely than not that you maybe want to look at your demographic a little bit and maybe take out one or two things that is. Remember, demographics are meant to include a specific group of people, not to exclude certain people. So if you're using demographics to exclude groups, you want to rethink that. So it's all relative. It's based on, here's the thing that Facebook says that the typical ad will get 1 click per 1,000 impressions. I find that number to be closer to 500-600 impressions per click. And if it's a truly targeted ad, it's closer to 400 or 500 impressions per click. So realistically, if I've got an ad of 5,000 people and Facebook is incentivized to get me engagement, they're going to show that ad to those 5,000 people 3 or 4 times. So I'll likely get my 25 clicks. Make sense? I'm likely going to get my 25 clicks. And that's really what you're going for, but do not buy them. Do it the way that we've talked about here. Do it with your first impression. Make that first impression be the thing that they're clicking on. Don't buy them because you're defeating the purpose, and now the whole goal of the retargeting is to lower the cost of conversion. And if you're having to serve ads to people that are just part of that because you needed to get your number up, defeats the purpose. All right. Now, once you do get your first impression, once your first impression has created those 25 website visitors, you can now run a new Facebook ad, but it's only going to go to those people who are part of those website visitors list. Your retarget ad needs to be a specific offer and a specific call to action. This is your opportunity to ask something in return, but you've got to give them something. You've got to give them incentive to take your action step or to give you the thing that you're asking for in return. Now, click-through rates and conversion rates with retargeted ads increase dramatically because there are people who have already shown interest in what you're offering. This is your opportunity to ask them something in return, and these are better prospects. So you've got to be really, really specific in your offer and your specific call to action. Okay? Now, the way that you do this, how do you create this ad for retargeting? Well, just like we did with our first impression ad, you're going to go and you're going to create a post that you're going to boost to your website custom audience only. So you go on your page and you create a post. And here's my post. Now, remember, my first post, the thing that got, these are only the people who are going to see this, and I don't care. I've got a few page visitors that come to my fan page, but remember, my fan page, just like your fan page and everybody else's fan page, people aren't watching what I'm doing on my fan page. Very little low engagement. It's the personal stuff that is generating all that engagement. So I'm making a post here, but I'm specifically speaking directly to the people that are going to be seeing my ad. And so I said, were all your questions answered in the top 10 most frequently asked questions about reverse mortgages? Remember, that's what my ad was, the top 10 frequently most asked questions reverse mortgages. I know that they clicked it. That's the reason they're seeing my ad. That's the only reason they would see this, is if they clicked it. So I'm asking, it's almost as if I am speaking directly to the person. And when they see this, they will interpret it that way. The feeling that they're going to get is that I am speaking one-on-one. I'm sitting in front of them, and I am asking that person a direct question. That's what retargeting allows me to do, because I know already that they went to the top 10 frequently asked questions about reverse mortgages. They did that because that's how I got their click, and that's how they're on this list that is going to see this ad. So were all your questions answered in the top 10 most frequently asked questions about reverse mortgages? I go right into my specific offer and my specific call to action. I offer a complimentary, no obligation reverse mortgage checkup to local seniors. What is the benefit of that? Here's what my offer is. What's the benefit to them? This checkup has helped many local seniors determine if a reverse mortgage was the right fit for them financially. That's where the benefit was of my reverse mortgage checkup. Now here's my direct call to action. Get your free reverse mortgage checkup now so you can make an educated determination. I didn't say decision or buying decision, just I'm telling them that they can determine whether reverse mortgage is the right fit for them. So I'm telling them that they can make an educated determination by getting a free reverse mortgage checkup, and I told them to do it right now. Just go to, and I've got my website right there. That's my retarget. Specific offer, right to the point. I talk to them as if I know them already, speaking directly to them. Were all of your questions answered in the thing that you saw already? Here's what I'm offering. Here's the benefit that it's giving you. Here's what you need to do to be able to take advantage of this benefit. That's all there is to it. And that's your retarget. That's your bring them back. Again, your retarget is your opportunity to be very specific in your offer and be very specific in your call to action. Okay? Next thing, once you've got your post there, just like we did with the first impression, you go to the Ads Manager, you click on Create an Ad, you go to the Select Your Boost Your Posts as the ad type. Once you choose that as your ad type, you're going to have to choose what page your post is on, and then you choose the post itself. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Again, your most recent post will be the post by default that shows up there. If you don't see it there, you can scroll through them, or they've added a new button. You can actually create your post right from here. You don't actually have to go anywhere. So you're going to name this campaign. Now you need to be specific so you know exactly which campaign is targeting which audience. Be specific. Again, if you're going to do this, let's say this works for you and you love it. You're getting leads like crazy from your reverse mortgage stuff, your reverse mortgage conversion setup, and you want to do the same thing for VA loans in your area. You want to know which audience goes to which people, so you know what's producing and what's not. Okay, so be specific. I named mine retarget ad for reverse mortgage. Pretty specific. Next step is your audience. Now the first thing that you're going to do in the audience section is remove any and all demographics that showed up. Now if you create your page like I create my page as a business or place, which means I'm actually putting in an actual physical address. Because I'm putting in an actual physical address, by default, Facebook ads for that page is going to bring up that location and a 50-mile radius. It's just how Facebook ads works. So you make sure, this is a very, very key and important part to being successful with your retarget, is make sure that some people don't put where they live on their Facebook profile. Some people don't put certain criteria or information. You don't want Facebook profile demographics to come into play in any way, shape, or form on your retarget ad. Any additional demographics that are Facebook demographics are going to they're going to exclude people from your list as opposed to add people to it. Does that make sense? If they're on your Facebook custom audience and they're 50 miles from Palm Harbor, well, who knows who clicked that ad? You know, maybe they didn't click that ad. Maybe they clicked that ad and they're in Orlando. Or maybe they clicked the ad and they don't have that they live in Palm Harbor. They may be 2 miles from me, but their Facebook profile doesn't have their actual location on their profile. They won't be served my ad because I excluded them because I'm saying I only want people 50 miles around Palm Harbor, and Facebook doesn't know whether or not that person is within that demographic, so they're excluded. So what I'm getting at here is a very important piece. Make sure that you remove any and all other demographics that came up by default or that have been added in. Just remove all the demographics before you get started with your audience. Now, once you've removed all the other demographics, what you're going to do is you're going to click in the custom audience box. What that's going to do is bring up any other audiences that you've ever had before, and likely you don't have a whole lot of audiences like I do. It's going to just show the 1 or 2 audiences depending on your setup, but you'll see the name of your audience there, and it'll tell you that it's a website audience. Now notice when I hover over it, it's showing me under 20. That's letting me know that that audience is not big enough to do an ad. So I kind of cheated to be able to move forward a little bit. I've got this other one that I named Reverse Mortgage Prospects from a while back that has been active for a while. And so I chose that one to be able to move forward. And that one actually has 600 people in that audience. And so that's what you're looking at. That is the only demographic that you are going to select is your custom website audience name. The rest of the demographics, ensure that they are blank. Ensure that they are blank. Okay? That's all you want to do is make sure that happens. Now the next step is to set your budget. When you're setting your budget, and I get it, we don't want to spend a ton of money on Facebook ads. The money that we spend needs to be converted into actual loans. Remember that the people on this particular ad, when it comes to budget time, this particular ad are people who have visited your website already. These people are there are far less people in this list than on your first impression list, which means that you're serving it to less people. So don't necessarily think that that means you want to give it less of a budget. The thing is, they're more likely to take action. They're more likely to click your ad, and each time your ad is served to your website custom audience is a reiteration of your brand and gets you one step closer to them, one step closer to that action step than filling out your form. You want those people on the Facebook, on your website custom audience, you want them to see your retarget ad as often as possible. Every time they're there, every time they refresh the page, as often as possible. That being the case, start your budget as high as you can, because those that click it are more than likely going to take your action step, and that's a lead opportunity. And I don't know what your statistics, I've spoken to several loan officers about this, and I get a different statistic from everybody. Seems to have a little bit different number. But let's say mine is 1 closed loan out of every 5 leads. Well, these are my truly targeted, and if I can create these leads, I don't mind paying $10 for 10, I don't mind paying $10 to give myself 5 clicks on my ad if one lead's gonna convert. Let's see, that's $50 at the end of the day to write one loan. I don't know what you guys make per loan, but if I had a marketing strategy that I knew going in that at the end of the day, all said and done, all washed out at the end of the day, I'm going to be paying $50 to get one closed loan, basically earn, I'll call it $2,000. I'm willing to trade that $50 to be able to collect the other $1,950. Is there anybody on this call that is not willing to trade that $50 for the other $1,950? And no, I'm going to tell you straight up, there is no guarantee. But what I'm telling you is that if you have a conversion page done this way with a true lead them down the path format, you will get people to convert. And those are leads, those are opportunities, and every lead that you get gets you closer to a closed deal. And I don't know, everybody's number's a little bit different. Some of you may be 7 or 8, some of you may be 2. Your number is different. Think about the math as it relates to you and what it would mean for you. And what is your dollar amount? Are you willing to spend $100 for every closed loan? Are you willing to spend, what is it that what is it that you are willing to trade for this machine? And if the math makes sense, and I can tell you, when it comes to a budget, if you're talking about 25, 50, 100 people as it starts to go, a budget of $20 to $30 a day is a sufficient budget that's going to get you, the reach is 430 people on this 600-person list. On $20 a day, my reach is 430 people on my 600-person list. Now, that doesn't talk about the frequency, because what they're trying to do is get engagement, which means they don't get paid until somebody clicks my ad, right? So this 430 people are going to see my ad 3 or 4 times in that one day. Now we're talking numbers. So if I got 400 people seeing my ad 3 times a day, that's 1,200 people. If I go by my regular averages, that's 2 clicks. But I'm going to tell you right now, because it's a retargeted ad, your click rate, your click-through rate typically goes up to 20-30%. Now you're talking about numbers of 10, 15 people clicking that. Now you're talking about 2 or 3 filled out forms each and every day if you're doing that initial first impression. Now make sure your ad, the next step is to just scroll down a little bit after you've set your budget. Make sure your ad looks good. Looks good. I don't like the way that looks with the small G, so I'm going to pause right. I'm sorry, guys. I got to fix that one little piece. I just can't. I can't do God with a small G. I'm sorry. I don't mean to pause this right here, but I can't do God with a small G. It just was, that was bothering me. All right, make sure your ad looks good on all the ad placement sections, especially the mobile news feed. Again, that's where your ad's more than likely going to get clicked most frequently, and then place your order. By retargeting the people who raise their hand, you're focusing your efforts on your very best prospects, and it truly is putting an arrow through the center of another arrow that's already in the bullseye. I mean, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like targeting on top of targeting. It's like, what's the new, well, no, I don't want to put it in war terms. We're in the middle of a war, and that just doesn't jive with me very well right now. It's true going deep with your targeting and really focusing in on your very, very best prospects. That's what it allows you to do. Now, the cool thing about it is to follow up with your leads. I'm sure you guys, we talked a little bit about this, but let's say, all these things, if you do them the way that we've spoken about, you're going to get people to fill out those forms. And when they do, you want to follow up. How do you know who filled out the form? How do you follow up with them? Weebly is going to send you a notification every single time your form is filled out. Weebly also keeps a list that you can add to your follow-up formula, and you guys have that follow-up formula. Remember that email, that phone call, that greeting card, that's our follow-up formula. So you'll have a list of those kept all inside of Weebly. So first, let's go ahead and set your notification email. What you're going to do is go to Edit again on your Weebly site. You click that Edit button. You're going to then go to Pages. From Pages, you're going to select your new form page from the list over here. When you click on that, you're then going to click Save and Edit. And that's going to take you into your page where your form is. All you've got to do is click on that, anywhere inside the blue area where the form is to be able to get the form options. So clicking inside that blue area, you now get the form options up here. First thing, make sure your notification email is good. Click on Form Options. Now, by default, what Weebly does is the email address that you set up your account with. You remember yesterday when we were talking about setting up that initial page, setting up a Weebly account just requires you putting in your full name, an email address, and a password. That email address that you used during that initial setup is the email address that the forms get sent to by default. If you need to change it, again, form options, and then just email submissions, just delete this and type in over it if you want to make those changes. Okay? If you want to make those changes. Click Save when you're done if you do make the changes. To view your list of registrants, all you do is you click that View Entries button, and it's going to pop open a second page, and the page has everything. It gives you the date that it was submitted, the IP address that it came from. I don't even know why you would need we don't need that, but it gives you all of your required fields. First name, last name, email address, and I didn't scroll over and get the picture of it, but there's a little comments field and whatever the comments are too. And then as you've got more and more people, notice I'm highlighted on this one contact, and it gives me a better view of that contact so I can see everything. So let's say I got 5 or 6 of these. I can click on any one of them, and it'll show me that person's information, what they put on the form specifically. Really great, really easy for building your contact list and adding to your follow-up formulas. So follow these steps. The first impression, that first impression, the ad, the initial contact, your cheese, some good cheese, give it to them and develop trust and credibility and your expertise right off the bat. And then the follow-up with a retargeted ad. Doing it that way, if you follow those steps, you'll generate leads of highly motivated buyers or refinancers. These are people that are your true targets. And then if you go a step further, teach this to your agent referral partners. Guys, this is a fantastic class to take the PowerPoint for. Turn it into a presentation that you teach to your real estate agent partners and help them grow their business prospects as well. Show them some cool ways and inventive ways. Display your expertise to them on how they can develop buyer leads right through Facebook with retargeting. And trust me, they've all heard of retargeting. It really is the hottest form of marketing going right now today. And guys, that is it. What questions do we have? I know I kind of plugged through and answered some of the questions as we go. Are there any questions that I did not answer in the presentation as we were going through it? I know I answered James' questions on how you get 25 and stuff like that. Looks like no. Guys, girls, I'm going to tell you, put these 3 pieces of the puzzle together. Now, again, if you want a condensed version of what we've gone over this week, a few months ago, I want to say it might have been October or it might even been late August, we did a class. It's in the member archive of the Mortgage Mastermind group under the Daily Mastermind archive. It's called the 3-Step Funnel. It is an overview of what we just went over. The last 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and today, this is more of an in-depth look at each piece of the 3-step funnel. Both will allow you to target consumers directly. Both will allow you to target partners. Both can be extremely effective in your business. It's the same practice. One goes a little more in depth. Retargeting, guys, if you're not doing some form of retargeting right now, you need to be. It's that brand recognition. It's that reiteration of your brand over and over again. on one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, it allows you to focus your marketing efforts on the people who are more likely to be your best prospect for doing a loan right now, or the closest to being in that zero moment of truth. So do these retargeting ads. I mean, they really are. People, we've talked to, you guys know Christian Penner. He's been doing them for a while, but just scraping the surface of it with the number, I mean, using it as a billboard ad. Think about it in terms of truly targeting the niche markets, the people who are likely to be interested in a reverse mortgage, the people who are likely to purchase a home that are veterans in our country. So easy to set demographics and find your target group, and then once you find that target group, those that identify themselves as being the true target, you can now put that arrow right through the middle of that bullseye too with retargeted ads. And the cost versus what you get, I mean, you're really looking at ways to be able to generate a loan for a very low cost. Guys, girls, that's all I've got for you. Please enjoy your weekend this weekend. Have a fantastic and safe. I know some of you got a little bit of blast of weather, but hopefully it's going to warm up for you this weekend. And that's all I've got. We'll see you right back here, same time, same place on Monday. Have a safe and wonderful weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye now.